Hey, what's good, everybody? Welcome to episode 116 of In a Good Way podcast. Um, Obviously, I'm doing this one by myself. Yesterday I had this interesting situation that I thought was like a teachable moment. So, um, I was like, let me make a video about it because I think it's gonna be something maybe people already have experienced in their life, right? But it's one of those things, right? So I ended up going to the mountains, right, to go cycling, right, to ride my bike. Um, and it's this road I hadn't been in over a year. It looks like since December of 2022, right? So over a year and a half. That's when, I had gone on this path, and at the end there's this really steep, I think it's the steepest hill I've cycled up, right? And on my way down, I almost died. I was catching too much speed. I was trying to be cool and because I was recording it actually. And so as on one turn, it's almost like a snake thing, right? It goes really quick. Well, when you're coming quick on the way up, it doesn't seem like it, but like, like a snake thing, right? And finally when I saw I was catching too much speed, I tried to slow down and there was already too much, I don't know, like the little rocks, right? Because the whole path is just one road, really. It's more for like the workers that go. So this isn't really like an open to the public kind of road. People do walk on it, go cycling on it, but it's not really like open for like that, right? Like for regular cars or nothing like that. It's like a work road kind of thing, right? And so at the end, yeah, there's this steep thing that goes up to like where they have some stuff up there, right? Because there's like a helicopter pad too. So I don't know, you know, where exactly. I don't know. There's like these gates after, and it's funny. It looks like very secretive, but I think it goes into a dam or something, right? But it's way up in the mountains. So, anyways, on the way down, yeah, I hit the brakes because I was like, oh wow, I'm like going way too fast, and I hit, I guess, the dirt, like the little rocks. So I realized, oh, I'm about to go off the mountain, but instead I just laid down the bike. But then when I did that, I flew off and I landed head first into the rocks, right? I think from there, because I already had the sciatic nerve pain, but then I don't know if it like connected. Then I started like yeah, it was excruciating pain, right? All my nerves were like on fire or something. Um, so after that, right? So it was like I always felt like I wanted to go back, kind of like face your demons, so to speak, but not really like in that way. Just I don't know. I think whenever I thought about going over there, I just always made excuses to myself on reasons not to go. But there was something about it, right, for me, right? And sure enough, right as I'm going, oh, this was the thing. So let me get into like a little spiritual aspect of it, even though it is all spiritual. But that morning too, I had seen a vision of like a deer. I seen a deer looking at me, but it was like on a road kind of thing. And so I was like, well, where I was planning to go, I was like, well, I mean, I guess it could. I've never really seen deer there like that. I don't know if I talked about it once where there were deer, but whatever. I was like, nah, there's not gonna be deer like that here, there. So I was like, and I went there last minute, right? Because I was going somewhere, and then last minute I turned and I went over there. So I was like, okay, I seen the deer. So I was expecting to see deer, right? Um, so anyways, as I'm going up to like there's a part, I had gone specifically to see these eagles, and all the last times I had gone, I didn't see them anymore. Except for one. There was one where it was really high and I just couldn't make out, is that the eagle? Like it looks like it, but I couldn't be definite, right? So anyways, like as I'm passing this part, I look to my right, and right as I look to my right, there's like the eagle on a tree, and we were eye level, so we lock eyes, like boom, and then and then obviously I turned back on the road, but I was like, oh wow, like bam. So the eagle, it made sense at the end, right? Just going through whatever, the eagle flies into the storm, right? Like like it's funny. I just someone just commented on my eagle video and said something about things resonated, right, with them about the eagle. So what do you call it? So yeah, I saw the eagle. Then I get over there, I start going on the path. Right away there's like a falcon, and I was like, oh wow, so all the spirit animals were coming out, right? Then the deer, there was a mama deer and a I don't know if it's called a doe, right? Or that's the female deer, the doe, and then the baby deer is the fawn, I think. So there was a doe and fawn. And then I go, and then yeah, and then it was crazy. Like there was so many things, right? I don't want to make it too long, but I mean I could talk about it. I guess you could just skip ahead to the teachable moment if it gets too like, about the spirit animals, but you already know that's my thing. So like I saw these deer, right? And something happened, right? And then after, well, I'll just cut it short. It was like I started recording that, and then after when they started leaving, I felt bad, like I should have connected with them, right? Because these things happen, right? Like there's when I connect with these animals, it's almost like they give you this knowledge. It's crazy. It's almost like when people say downloads and this and that, it's like boom, like you just become in sync. It's really this crazy thing that happens, right? So I felt bad that instead of connecting with this, mama deer and baby deer, I was over here with the phone, right? And um, a long time ago, almost, 100% sure it was before the pandemic even. I I got into that for a while where I was always like, recording stuff. And the main elder that would run the ceremonies where I would go, he came into my dream and he was like, if you're always so busy like doing that, you're gonna miss the magic. You're gonna miss I forgot if those were the words he said, but it was like I was gonna miss it if I'm always so, but obviously, like that became part of the culture now, right? Everybody wants to, whatever. And so after that, I was like, oh, okay, I got it. I even told them in ceremony, I was like, oh, thank you for telling me. And he was like, huh? But, I was like, wow, whether he got it or not, like his higher self or something, right? Went and, or that's why I chose to bring me the lesson or whatever. But in that vision, he came to me in the vision to tell me like, hey, if you're always so just concerned with that. So I did that with the mama deer and the baby deer, and I just felt horrible. I was like, man, why did I waste that beautiful moment, like just looking through the screen, right? So I was kind of messed up about it. And then even a great blue heron flew like right where the deer were, right? So I was like, crazy. And then, so so they went the other way, and then I started going up miles in the opposite direction, right? And I was in my head about it. I don't know why. I was like, man, like I was irritated that I wasted that beautiful moment. But we all do, right? We all get caught now in this age of technology. We lose the chance to connect with things because of that, right? Even people, right? Like like I love when people say, oh, like that whole no phone policy. I get it if you do work and stuff like that. But like if someone's like, oh, we're gonna have a dinner and, leave your phones this or that, obviously there's exceptions, there's emergencies, but I get it when people do that. I think it's pretty cool, right? But anyways, so, um, what do you call it? So yeah, I was going up and I was just in my head about that, right? And I was like, man, why did I miss that moment? Uh, and then after miles away out of nowhere, boom, there's the deer again. And he looked like the exact same deer, mama deer and baby deer. And I was like, no way, like that's you, right? But I've seen things where they call them glitches in the Matrix before. But I was just like, is this like I know there's a lot of deer, there's whatever, thousands of deer, but they just look so exact. And then I was like, okay, boom. I didn't, no way I didn't take off my phone. I connected with them, gave an offering, I was just like thankful. And I was grateful that right, I was able to balance it out. So I didn't have that bad feeling no more. Okay. And then boom, the great blue heron flies out again. So I was like, oh wow, like really glitches in the Matrix. Like, what is this? The same theory, the same now the bird. But then I was like, I don't know, it's just weird. Things were happening like that, right? Connecting. That's why I love being in nature, because these things that are unexplainable sometimes happen, and it's kind of like a good slap in your face that okay, like it is what it is this, right? It is these magical things that seem very unreal, right? And so after that, yeah, it stayed with me. That great blue heron, like it stayed with me. It was like leading me towards like I was like, is this thing really staying with me? Like what's up with this? And it was just flying as I'm, because I'm going at a decent speed on the bike and it's flying like, like it's leading the way. I was like, oh wow, so and it's not super wide, right? It's like so the mountain, so it's flying around like the mountain with me and I'm going. So it's pretty cool. And then I think that's it for that. So this is the whole teachable moment thing. Even though I'm sure there were teachable moments in that, but on the way back, I do all that. I go up my hill, right? And on the way down, this time I don't almost die. you know, Very steep, very like, oh man, just I thought about the eagle because there was so many times where I was like, oh man, because it's so steep and it just takes forever. Like you go up one turn and you're like, okay, I'm almost there. Then another turn, then you're like, I forgot there's another turn, and then another turn, and then finally, and it's just like, like as steep as it gets, you're like giving it all you got, but it's like you gotta find more, and then you gotta find more, and then you gotta find more because it's just exhausting that last bit, right? So great workout. Once you make it, you're like, oh, you feel great, right? Like you're like, oh man, like you feel like like a tired Superman, right? But you make it, right? So, anyways, I hold on, let me drink some. I just woke up too, so in case I look all sleepy or whatever. But anyways, okay. So after that, I take off, right? I feel all victorious. Okay, boom, I came. I finally came back to where I almost died or whatever. And then so as I'm leaving the mountain, right near the end, there's a highway patrol out of nowhere, and it's like the road's blocked, and it's like no, because like 20 miles to where I went. I don't know if it's at least, I don't know, maybe over 10 miles for sure, right? So I'm saying like the whole round trip of driving, right? So I'm like, okay, I'm almost at the end to get back out into the road, and then there's a highway patrol, and it's like the road's blocked, and it's like there's only one car in front of me, and then I guess they're trying to ask, and he's not really answering. So I get off the car and I go, and I'm like, "Do you know how long it's gonna take?" Or and he's like, "Nah, just go around." And I'm like, "Oh man!" And it's 30 miles around, so it was like, and through the mountains with the twists and turns, like it took me like probably at least an hour to go all the way around. But at that moment, it was like the road's blocked. There's no point in arguing. Like even the other people, I think they were kind of like, oh, he's being a dick or this, but it was like, nah, I mean, he said whatever. The road's blocked. Like, what else? Like, we don't know if a car flipped over because I think I don't know if it was like a month ago I went and there was like I'm telling you, I went to try to see if I ran into the Eagles and nothing, right? So when I turned around, like, and I was gonna get out, and it was late in the afternoon. This was early in the morning yesterday, but this was late in the afternoon. It was like there were like 100 cars, right? So we had to wait. Like there was no really, they didn't leave room. People were, I mean, I was kind of like, man, humanity's funny sometimes. The things they were doing, it was like all the cars were stopped, but then they were trying. They made like 3 lanes on this, like two lane, highway, like they were stacking up, so then there wasn't even room to turn around because I was like, man, I should just go around. And it took like an hour, so it would have been worth it to but I should have left right as soon as I thought of it, right? So anyways, so this happened maybe like a month ago. I think and that time it was a car that flipped upside down or something. So anyways, all right, man, I know I'm making this story longer, but it was blocked, right? And that was it. And then I had to go around, right? And I made the best of it. There was something I wanted to get from the mountains that I ended up getting. So whatever. There I go on my journey. But then it hit me, right? The thing in life, because I had been wanting to make a video about that. It's like sometimes the road's blocked and there's nothing. You could huff and puff all you want. God, why this? Why that? It's part of the journey, right? It's almost like there's there's nothing. I was grateful. Good thing I wasn't whatever passing through there and the rock started falling on my car, or good thing I wasn't whatever. If a car flipped upside down, good thing I was in that car, right? So there's those moments that you don't know why whatever road was blocked, but in these small moments you could see it on a big picture, right? Because usually we'll huff and puff. Why? Someone could be at a job for 20 years and all of a sudden they lay you off and your world comes crumbling down, but just a part of life, right? But I got to see that like in real time, right? It's like, oh wow, like okay, the road's blocked. He didn't give me a time because I was like, man, I'll just go wait. Like all these people were already driving up there to go to the river or whatever, but it was like I'll just like yeah, I could have just waited it out, but it was like nah, like go around. So okay, I had to find a different road, right? And that's just life sometimes. Like it don't matter how much we huff and puff. Yeah, it's uncomfortable too, because I was like, oh man, good thing I had gas, everything in the car, but I was like, oh man, you know what I mean? Especially with the sciatic nerve, but by some miracle, it didn't bother me. I was like, huh, maybe that was part of it for me to see, like, oh wow, like it didn't really even bother me, right? It was pretty interesting because I was like, it was just crazy. But anyways, so I feel like, even this, like with this acting thing, all these things keep happening to where I'm like, you know, not necessarily that you have to put something to rest. It was like with music, right? This happened to me before in my life, right? I'll just share this and then I'll end it because I don't want to go too long. When I was doing music, I had met these people that had a record company, right? And it was like, you know, I presented, yeah, I wanted like to get signed because back then that's all everybody talked about, right? Like it was about getting signed and this and that. Um, but I had already put in stuff to leave to the military, right? So it was like I said, if I don't leave by this date, if I don't do a music thing by this date, I'll leave to the military. That was my agreement to myself, or also that, right? I had gone to do everything and they give you up to a year, right? All your stuff, your tests, I had already scored good on all the tests. I was able to get pretty much any job I wanted in the military from the test. All these things, right? So I was like, okay, by this day. And then so sure enough, something happened like the guys but the day before, right? I was actually asking. I went up to nature and I was like, am I supposed to leave? Like I actually asked for like a sign, right? I was like, show me a sign. And I was running on this road and all of a sudden there's a snake in front of me, right? And it's blocking the whole road really. And I didn't know then, like, was it a rattlesnake? What? So obviously, I guess that's what I assumed. Like, oh, is this a poisonous snake? What? It's blocking the whole road in front of me. So then all of a sudden, I look back and a snake had already appeared behind me, but it's blocking like half the road. So I was like, oh, wow, I could go back, go all the way around now and not complete my run the way I was going to go because of the snake or, go. So, anyways, I was like, I thought about it real quick. I was like, nah, I'm not a coward. Like, I don't care. Like, I'll just run fast and try to jump over, and hopefully this snake doesn't like launch out and bite me or something, right? I don't know. I was just like, I was like, I'm not gonna be a coward. Like, screw this. So, anyways, I'm going straight towards the snake, but then at the last minute, I'm like, it was kind of like blocking the road, but then like the hill went up a little, right? Like on the side, it went up a little. So I was like, I kind of ran and I jumped off like the side of the thing to jump over it, right? So I still went straight, but just a little bit around, right? And then after that, I it kind of hit me. Okay, I'm gonna take this detour and then I'm gonna come back. That's what it felt like. Like they were telling me that the spirit world, like, because I was asking, do I leave? Like, how am I gonna leave? And then I'm doing music. How am I ever gonna do music again? Well, so it was like, okay, I'm gonna take a little side detour, but still go straight in a way, right? So that ended up happening, right? Like, because I was supposed to negotiate for a record contract, but the day we were supposed to do the meeting, that I said, this is the last day. If I don't figure something out by this day, then I'll leave to the military. Um, his daughter ended up getting sick. It was like, oh, my daughter got sick. Can we reschedule the meeting? And it was like, yeah, okay, cool. And then after I was like, damn, I gave my word. So I left. And then it was the best thing that happened to me for me musically. When I came back, it was like, it was crazy. Like I hit the music even better. So the snake thing that had appeared, now I could talk about it. Because before I think I never really talked about it because it was so you have to understand like the way they make things appear. Just like the deer, it felt very glitches in the matrix. They gave me a second chance to like, okay, to right away on the spot make things feel balanced, make things feel right, right? Like I was like, okay, I'm not gonna take out my phone, this and that. Let me just connect. So I got to repeat like right away. So the same thing with the way those snakes appeared, it was like, what? Like this isn't. I just passed. How did a snake already appear behind me, like that? And it's already on halfway. They're not all fast, like so it already slithered to cover half my path, like real quick within like nah. So it was just really weird, right? And then so all that, right? So my road, it felt kind of like that, like the whole thing with the rock yesterday. I know I made this kind of long, so I'll just wrap it up right there. So it was one of those teachable moments. I feel like in life, like I've had that happen a few times, and toward that, right? Your roads keep getting blocked, and it's just normal, right? People sometimes get really fixed on things, right? Like, they have to go down that road, right? It's like, and you can wait it out, but sometimes it's just blocked. Like you could wait it out, but I could have just waited it out with the music. Oh, what if that? And then something else came up, right? Like, oh well, we'll reschedule the meeting. Will this, will that? Because I was at the mercy of someone else, right? And it was like these roadblocks were they lead you in a different direction, and I had this great journey from it, right? Like I went and experienced other things in life instead of just waiting around, like. So I feel like definitely that was a very beautiful thing to experience. Like, nah, the road's blocked, you're gonna have to go around. And it's like, all right, that's life sometimes, right? So I'll just end it with that because I don't know if that made sense, right? But for me, it's still relevant because I get things like this all the time. Like that happened to me during the pandemic, right? I drew my life. I drew my line in the sand. Well, in a way, yeah, with like a whole life. I drew my line in the sand, right? They were like, to keep working, I would have had to get the thing, right? I would have had to get the thing, and I had already made my choice. Like, no, right? And like 90 to 95% of the jobs, you required it. And so I had to find a different way, right? Like it felt like the world was crumbling at that moment. Like, what? Like I've been doing this. And it's funny because, it was like the longest job I ever had was like 9 years, right? And then it was just intolerable. And then I left, right? It was like, but I got like a million signs on leaving, right? So nine, right? The number of endings. And then again, with this acting thing, as I was getting to the 9 years, it was like all these obstacles kept happening, right? Like but just that, right? Like either just stay waiting or you find other ways and you come back to it, right? Like there's always these little things, but that kind of in a way also left a bad taste in my mouth about that. Anything that has that much power over you to be like, well, if you don't get this thing, then you can't work, right? Um, that was a huge teachable moment. Again, it was like the road was closed because of what my morals or my standards or whatever, right? The line I had drawn for myself, that this is, I don't compromise with this thing, right? And it was like, hey, so I've had a lot of these moments in life. I don't know if that was a hint that I'm about to hit another one of these moments or what, or I already did, right? But just as humans, right, we lose it. Like we lose, just like the other people, the cops being a dick or this and that, what they said. But to me, it was like, no, I mean the road's closed. What do we do? Do we huff and puff at God? Like, why would you do this? Or do we just adapt and, make the best out of a situation, find another road that might end up being a better path than the road we were on, right? And that's just life. That's just part of the journey. So I'll end it with that. Hopefully it made sense. Hopefully I wasn't all over the place, but I don't know. I felt like sharing that. For me, these small things just sometimes seem so huge in their simplicity, right? Like, wow, the road was closed. Like, find another way. It is what it is. Nothing I could do about it, right? Especially that. Imagine if it is rocks, literally, like on the road, just these huge rocks. Like, what do you do, right? Like in your car, there's no way you're gonna, you can't. Even if you got out of your car, you're not gonna lift these boulders, and make a path for your car, right? Like, so it is what it is. Find another way. Still get to your destination, but sometimes you got to find another way. So that's it. Hopefully it resonated. I'll end it on that note. Thank you all for listening. If I didn't say it, that was episode 116, and I'll have more guests soon, right? So I'll talk to you all soon. Peace.